Hey, how's it going, folks? My name is Josh. Welcome back to another toy review, and today we're here to take a look at the Ultra Hero Series number 5, Ultraman Ace. So, of course, for those of you who watched my previous toy review of Black King, you guys will know that we pretty much wrapped up going over some of the characters that I have based off of the, previous series Return of Ultraman. So finally, we're going to jump right in and talk a little bit about the 5th entry in the series, Ultraman Ace, released in 1972. So I'm going to try my best not to talk too much about the history of Ultraman Ace, because holy crap, like for real, there was a lot more to like the background of the creation of this series than I would have thought. So I guess I'll go over a couple of key points real quick. So like I said, this is the 5th entry in the series. So obviously after the huge success of Return of Ultraman, of course it would make sense that they will want to make another continuation of the show. But this one definitely went through a couple of iterations here and there. At some point the show was even going to be called Ultra 5 or even Ultra Fighter. Oh, not even counting, actually now that I think about it, isn't there a couple series named Ultra Fighter to begin with? But besides that, what's interesting was that they actually, around the same time, there was this other little show called Kamen Rider. Now, if I'm being honest, I don't know anything about Kamen Rider, so I can't really speak too much about that. But because it was made by Super Aya's competitor, I think Production Toy, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Obviously, they kind of wanted to see who could make the better superhero show. So Ultraman Ace is really insane. Like, seriously, I don't even know where to begin with it. It is nuts. I mean, for starters, this was actually the very first entry in the series to have not one but 2 hosts, although eventually halfway through the show that would change. Of course, the 2 hosts being, holy crap, I'm gonna mess up their names. CJ Hokuto and Yuko Minami. Okay, that's more like it, right? So what's also interesting about the show is that it's the very first series to have like an actual antagonist, with of course that antagonist being Yapool, who's like this weird alien ruler god thing who sends out a new mass of kaiju. And these aren't like your average monsters. In fact, they actually gave them a very specific name. They're actually called Terrible Monster, which I know sounds weird, but for a show and a genre like this, it kind of makes sense. I mean, it kind of sounds like you're just calling the monsters terrible, but no, I'm not joking. A lot of them are just literally called Terrible Monster, and then whatever their actual names are. Not to mention that the show also had a little bit of an emphasis on like weird mystical type creatures and all that, so there's a lot of that in the show. I mean, for crying out loud, Ultraman Ace literally fought like a weird ass like balloon monster, and that's not even counting the final episode. This man legit fought a giant cow as like the final boss of the series. I am not joking. This show is long too, by the way. I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of these shows tend to have like a lot of episodes, but this one had about at least, I want to say 52 episodes to be exact, so that's a lot. So for sure they amped up the show a lot, and of course it even featured a whole bunch of the previous Ultramans in a few episodes and all. Yeah, I mean, for crying out loud, these designs, man, the designs of these monsters are nuts. Anyway, let's continue with the actual figure before I get way off topic. But oh man, so as always, a lot of these figures, they come with these tags. So there he is fighting against alien Hippiro. You get the idea. A lot of these monsters got weird ass names. Of course, this is a classic picture right here. I love how nice and crisp this profile pic actually looks, not gonna lie. Eventually I would learn that as some of these figures get re-released, unfortunately some of them might not even contain these. So this is like the OG right here, with the exception being that this one doesn't have the weird DX figure that was from Ultraman Ginga. So like I said, a lot of these figures, they always come with these tags, just kind of attached to them somewhere. They don't come in boxes or anything like that. These are just vinyl figures that you could find at pretty much anywhere if you live in Japan, but here in America, they're kind of a bitch to find. So, yeah. Of course, we got the back, nothing at the inside. Yeah, all right. So let's go over the figure because there's a lot of things to kind of go over it, really. I guess before we talk about, the actual figure itself, I would like to talk a little bit about the design because you could definitely tell that they tried to go, a little like, how do I say it? What's the word for it? I wouldn't really say different. I mean, it's an Ultraman. It's pretty much what you expect. To me, to a certain extent, it's almost like a weird combination of like how Ultra 7 looked and then, even with how Ultraman looks too. For sure, I do like the choices that they made here. One thing I would also like to point out is his feet, because he got boots. And Ultraman Jack also had a pair of fancy boots, so that's pretty cool. Just kind of do like a little comparison right there. Obviously, it's not the exact same. A lot of these figures are, of course, original sculpts. Oh, even the gloves too. That's lovely. It's just to kind of give an idea. I guess we can also kind of count this as a size comparison, but even though I always do that towards the end of the videos, you get the idea. One thing I do want to point out is that despite their eyes having like a sort of whitish yellow color, the colors of his eyes just like pure yellow. So it's like, okay. I also do like if you zoom in a little bit on his face. I don't know, I get like a weird honeycomb vibe. Am I the only one or am I tripping? Ooh, actually, now that I think about it, you can even see like the shine of like his silver color. That's very nice. He looks pretty cool. At first, I was kind of questioning the physique a little bit because I can't help but wonder if the chest area is a little bit too broad. But that's just me being an idiot. Even in the show, he's kind of like that. So, or she, I don't know, because because of the two hosts thing. I always do wonder that because of how he looks. I don't know if they were trying to do like that weird he-she thing. I don't know. I mean, I won't I won't get into that. But you get the idea. Execution wise, I think it's great. I love that they went with a more better original design. And it's definitely matched sort of the craziness of the show, if that makes any sense. I mean, think about it. What a huge departure. Like, damn. I mean, it still has the same old, same old, like what you would expect, obviously, but you get the point. So you can even see like the eyes for an example too. Of course, it's not just Jack. Zafi and even the old Ultraman figure also has the same color eyes. So just thought I kind of give off a little comparison right there. Yeah, so we just kind of look around, look through the side, of course, look through the back, and as you can see, yeah, I know I don't really talk about these too much, mostly because you do see this mostly with the Ultra Heroes. You don't really see it too much with the monster figures. Yeah, he has that really ugly hole, but it's not because the figure is broken. That's just the weird little like hook thing that like the thing that they use to like. You see what I mean? To kind of hold the tag there. Obviously, there's only really one way to kind of take him out. I mean, I've seen some people, instead of just pulling it out, they do get, maybe a pair of scissors or so just to kind of at least cut it off. But then if you end up doing that, you're going to get a little bit of that piece kind of stuck in the figure. So then if you shake it around, you'll hear him kind of wobbling around in there. But the good thing about these figures actually is that since they're in two pieces, you could definitely take off. You could pretty much rip them in half if you want, just to take that little piece out. If you don't get what I mean, I'll show you what I mean by that in a little bit. But let's go over the figure itself now. So as always, despite these figures, being vinyls and all that, this toy line in particular does a really good job at portraying how the characters look. So obviously, accuracy-wise, it looks pretty good. The only thing, obviously, is that weird little circle that you see here. Yes, that is supposed to be a hole for the most part. I know you can't really tell too well, but you can pretty much obviously tell by the tag. So it's a very small detail. I highly doubt that's really worth complaining or taking away points, so I won't really dwell into that so much. Oh, speaking of, so I don't know if I really want to do it with this figure, but like you could definitely like take it out, like rip them in half or so. They're not like the Ultra Monsters where for some odd reason once they're kind of attached you can't really take it out. I know I had it at, oh yeah, that's right, I was taking a look at Black King. You know, I was saying, this is the last figure I reviewed, by the way, so check that out when you get the chance. Yeah, so I did show that you see like that weird little line, that little seam kind of going on. So it gives the impression that you could move them around or even take it apart, but you really can't. But with the Ultra Heroes, you can actually do that. I mean, I don't know why you would want to. They clearly only did that, you know, like how they were making them in the factories. But you get the idea. I won't talk about that too much. I just thought I kind of mention that because that's like the smallest details, you know, that you could very easily miss when going over these, despite how simple these figures are. And of course, sculpt, no problem. Paint, well, I mean, this silver colors, it's just booming. I don't know what it is. For some reason, I don't really get that too much with the other Ultra figures. But this one, the silver paint for sure, it kind of shines a lot within the light. I've never really noticed that before. I don't know why it took me so long. To be fair, I started taking some of my figures down from my shelf and just kind of looking at them, and once in a while I do dust them off. So when you notice small stuff like that, definitely makes the figures just that little more special. So that's pretty cool. The only thing that's not cool though is, unfortunately, mine does have a tiny bit of sloppy paint, especially here up in the front. You could kind of see that red paint bleeds a little bit into the silver. I try not to think about it too much because I try to think like, ooh, it's like in the show, you know what I mean? Not everything's gonna be perfect. I mean, who could remember Red King's suit literally tearing apart right in the middle of the fight with Ultraman? Oh, geez, you know. I mean, obviously, with Ultraman nowadays, they try to avoid that completely. So, obviously, there's no more weird mistakes like that, but you get the point. You know, just thought I kind of point that out there, you know, with the weird messiness to it. Obviously, that doesn't always happen. This one, you can't really tell too well, but it's a little bit of the opposite. Now it's the silver paint. There's like a tiny little tab there, and then maybe a little bit of the red sort of spilling on the side. It's very small, though, you know. The only reason I'm pointing that out is because I'm a nerd, and I'm reviewing a figure, so you get the point. So I'm sorry. I also could be wrong, maybe like around like it, I don't know. I can't help but also see too, especially with like the shine, there's like a little bit of like darkness here, like shading and all that. I think that's probably because of how I'm kind of moving him around, and then like you see like the projection of the light kind of shines around, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, besides the whole red paint ordeal, it's not so bad. Everywhere else it's completely fine. I mean, obviously you could kind of tell a little bit there's something kind of weird going on there. But of course, that's just the thing with vinyl figures. A lot of them are very random, so they're not always going to be sort of the same. They're always going to be like some little hiccup here and there. So if you ever buy these online, just hope that they don't come warped or else they don't stand. Of course, obviously, since these Ultraman figures are flat-footed, they will not have any issue standing at all, which, of course, again, that is a plus. So, yeah, I give them credit for that. Monsters, obviously, you know, with their giant big-ass tails, they're not going to have any problem standing, so you really don't got to worry about that. But again, if you do order these online, you're going to have to just hope and pray that they don't come with, like, 1 foot, like this. Because then they're very hard to kind of like try and sort of fix it up since they're pretty much warped. So that's the only downside with the material of the plastic, is that because they're made of a very soft vinyl, especially these Ultramans, this one is definitely a little bit on the soft side, but not too much. Obviously, it is going to be prone to like bending and all that, so don't put them near somewhere that's hot or warm, otherwise that will affect them greatly. Or even if it's like the opposite, if you're trying to kind of like fix up the foot and all that, I've had her tips as to how to do that by putting them in warm water and then just kind of fixing it up and then freezing it after. But just to be on the safe side, I wouldn't recommend doing that. That's just for safety in the future, you know, because these are nice figures and obviously you don't want to ruin them, and they're perfect enough for what they are. And of course, lastly is just kind of take a look at their feet right here. So it says 2013, and of course, obviously he used to have the little symbol right there, but that's been removed because that gimmick is like, it's pretty old. I mean, even Bandai knew that crap would die down eventually, so I'm not upset about it. Although I think it is good to point out that I think it's the next figure. It's either that or Doragori. I know one of them actually do have the little symbol thing, so we'll take a nice little look at that next time for the review. So of course, articulation, very basic. I mean, when it comes to these Ultraman figures, they only move around 3 to 4 points, and yes, there actually are a couple of other Ultraman figures that actually do have like an extra point of articulation. But obviously this one's not one of them. You know, the arms move. You know, it could go full 360 for the most part. You know, that's about it really. And then of course you got the waist. Do you hear that? Hold on. Actually, you probably can't because I put music in the background sometimes. But let me see. I'm gonna try and let me see. You get like every time. See how it makes that noise? But don't worry, that doesn't mean that the figure's not gonna break. It just means that, you know, you could tell like how like tight it is up in there. Just that doesn't sound right. Anyway, yeah. So of course we took a look at that. So I mean, let's take a look at his brothers. Of course we got the OG original Ultraman right here. Actually, let me just put him a little bit to the back so you get like a nice full view there. Now that's gorgeous. Isn't that great? So of course we have Ultraman Jack. You know, looking good right there too. I'm just taking whatever's on my bed right now. Ultraman Zuffy. Well, technically he's not called Ultraman Zaffy. It's just Zaffy. Weird name choice. I know, but listen, don't ask any questions here. Trust me. It's only gonna get a lot more weirder later on. Like for real. 7. Oh, curse you, 7. That wasn't fair. So yeah, obviously, I mean, he stands up perfectly fine, but you see what I mean with the whole weird leg thing? Where we kind of put him together there. It's just so weird that out of all of them, I mean, it's like they both kind of stand out from the rest, but in a very weird way. You know, I don't even know how to really explain it. He's also a tiny bit on the short side. He's definitely around the same height as 7 almost, so that's pretty interesting. He also got like the weird mohawk slugger thing. I don't know. I know it has like a weird name to it. The ability that he has to kind of throw around his little mohawk thing. I don't know. I'm sorry guys. I know it has a name. It's just been a while. But yeah, but it's pretty cool to kind of see him like that. Kind of comparing them all. And that, what the hell? Skeletor? What the hell are you doing here? Get out of here. This ain't your review. Oh, that's right. I'm supposed to review some He-Man figures that I promised a while ago. And you know what? We'll do a voting poll instead. How's that? All right. Okay. Now get out of here. There's an Ultraman review. Yep. Sorry about that. But besides that, let's compare him at least to some of the monsters. So of course, yeah, that's right. There we go. You got Black King right here. Of course, next to Jack, and then of course we're going to show him off next to Ace, just to kind of show off the size difference. Obviously, you know, big downer with the monsters is that they're always going to be slightly smaller, but, you know, kind of happens. Sometimes, you know, you can't really help it. As long as they look at the part, it's okay. I won't blame it too much. Although then again, it's not really saying much for later on. Trust me, there's going to be a couple of messy ones later on, and we're gonna get there soon. Trust me, very soon actually. But so that's about it really. I mean, what can I say? These figures are always fantastic, and I love, you know, I love having them, you know. I mean, if you love the characters so much, I definitely highly suggest getting these. Now, for the most part, I think when it comes to like these specific figures, like the, you know, the original Ultraman and all that, like when the toy line first started, they're a little easy to find. If you go on like Amazon and eBay, that's a tricky one. I don't know. eBay, that's more for like if you want to get like the new figures that are coming out now. But obviously the closest thing I could really find, like the cheapest, is like 14 bucks for one figure. And even that's saying a lot because these things used to be really cheap. Like for real, they were, as hard as it was that you had to wait for a long time to get them, it was nice. I mean, unless you have like, you know, an account with HobbyLink Japan. I mean, I don't know. That's a whole other thing. But easy 10 out of 10. So yeah, that's great. So yeah, next time, the next toy review, I mean, I'm going to put up a poll just to see if you guys want to see something, you know, maybe something maybe a little different, because obviously I don't only do Ultraman. I would like to do other stuff as well. He-Man was of course another big one with the Masters of the Universe origin line, so we'll see how that goes. The next figure Ultraman wise, I believe it's either a giant Yapool or Doragors or Doragori, so I'm gonna have to just kind of take a look at my notes just to double check. So until then, thank you guys for watching. As always, leave a like and subscribe to the channel, because finally I'm back on track doing these, and I forgot how fun these were. And yeah, that's about it. See ya.